Welcome into the BL report. I'm Aeri.
I'm Cristal Marie.
And we are ready. We're ready to talk. We're ready to talk about the things that
We,
no one else will talk about.
apparently, I should probably introduce myself a little more because
No, do more.
you've been everywhere in the con. Like I've literally watched like 2 panels already. So if y'all don't know Aeri by this point, well, either way, then you tuned in at just the perfect time to get to know them even better. So
Heck yeah.
My name is Cristal Marie, as I said before. I'm a bilingual singer, content creator, and one of the hosts of the official CrunchyRoll podcast alongside Tim Lu, Lauren Moore, and Kurt Ritchie. Our season 2 premieres this summer. I am the resident BL lover in the podcast, and I'm also the co-founder of YouTube anime channel Beyond the Bot. And you can find some of my videos on anime culture, BL, video games, and much more on Frederator Networks, Get in the Robot, Atomo Network, and the Leaderboard on YouTube.
Heck yeah. I'm Aeri. I have my Querios account on Twitter, and you see me screaming about BL. I also started VTubing about 3 months ago under Peachy Gomu. Kind of like drag for me, which I like. It's like anime drag.
Yes, I love it.
I'm an ex-scholar turned yaoi influencer, as Fujokan dubbed me.
I love the comments already. Who doesn't know Aeri? I know. Like at this point, Aeri is basically the mascot, the unofficial mascot of Fujokan.
Official mascot. I'm not getting in the fursuit. Nothing wrong with that, but it's too hot for me.
Listen, there's 2 kitties in your avatar. I'm just saying, if you put on a onesie with the cat ears, we're on our way.
I had to have my sons in my icon.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. But welcome into the BL report, which Cristal and I totally spammed each other an email when we were talking about doing this.
Yeah, which I think essentially what you'll get is a sneak peek into what we DM each other about constantly over and over in the same chaotic way that we usually do. But essentially, we just like to talk about all the topics and trends affecting the Fujin today. And that's what today is about. We're going to probably go a little bit deeper into what you see on the title, which is Danmei, toxic fandom. But there's also other trends and news to report on because this is the BL report. We're your official, unofficial newscaster, Chaos Muppets, soon to be furries, MooTuber, and future Chibi Tuber me.
I like that we're both in VTube. Oh, good God. This is just like, we're just going to keep crossing over. We're just like sewn to each other at this point.
I know. Yeah, please go ahead and start the AO3 fanfics. It's okay. I don't kink shame. Let's go.
My wife will not care.
Mine won't either. I love this. Chaotic marriage energy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you want to dive into it, or do you want me to start? We have a list of things we want to tackle. There is so much. I always think an hour is probably a long time, but it's probably not going to even be enough.
We got an hour and a half, actually. That's what I signed us up for.
True. But we also want some questions.
We got to get those questions too. I know. So it's like we got to run through those topics. Also, just to make sure, I saw somebody asked about audio. To my knowledge, we still have audio, but if there's anything where you don't have audio, I always say refresh because Twitch is weird.
Yes. So. Are you not hearing Aeri or me? Which you can hear? You can hear Pork Chop.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Pork Chop.
Audio is okay. Thank you, PZs.
Chop's in my VTubing audience.
Oh, hello, Pork Chop.
Hey, Pork Chop.
Okay, audio is
fine. Okay, yeah. So if you have any audio problems, my suggestion is to just refresh really quick and then come back in.
Cool.
For folks who are watching. But yeah, what do we got in the news so far? What's your favorite thing you want to start with? We can
Okay. Let me do some rapid fire headlines first, and if anything,
yeah, let's get these in. It's rapid fire BL news.
Yes, dear audience, technically you're here, and this is an interactive newscast. So go ahead and let us know if you want us to dive a little deeper into a specific topic. But basically, what has just happened in BL today that's affecting Fujin. Number 1 is that yesterday, the United Workers of 7 Seas formed a union, and it was finally accepted and legitimized. I believe they released an official statement which, by the way, a lot of the stuff I am probably going to be either trying to drop the links in the chat or trying to drop them on Twitter, and we'll just figure it out from there. But yes,
Attempted link droppage.
attempted droppage is going to be pursued here. But yes, they made the major announcement. United Workers of Seven Seas, UWS7S, is happy to announce that Seven Seas has agreed to voluntarily recognize them as a union based on a majority card check.
Awesome.
This decision by Seven Seas eliminates the need for an NLRB conducted election and will pave the way for a more expedited path. Let me just, to give you the short of this, basically, they are the first official manga union, by the way, and they are now legitimized. And this means that they're going to have much better working conditions, much better pay, much better benefits. And this is incredible news because, in case you're not aware of what role Seven Seas plays right now in BL, they are the first publishing house to basically bring over Danmei, the genre, which is boys love in China, to Western audiences with official English translations. And that has made a huge impact that we're going to dive into a little more after I go through a couple more of the headlines. So that's number one. That is huge.
Starting with a union. That's a strong start. Let's go.
We also need some good news.
Manga history right there.
Yes, this is huge. Yes. Next, what we've got is maybe not such great news, but definitely something that we feel we should touch upon because as Fujin, we are known, especially for being mostly in fandom spaces like AO3 and participating in zines and participating in discords and activities that are fan organized in majority. So what happened recently was that the Showtime zine, which is essentially a BL zine celebrating the ship of Joker and Akechi from Persona 5 Royale, there was a case of misuse of funds by one of the mods, and this is currently being investigated, and it's happening. Like, people are talking about it all over Twitter, and it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal because when it comes to transactions between the fandom and people who are also part of the fandom creating these activities, like that layer of trust really is so essential to making sure that these things work and that we have a safe space to express ourselves and to bring forth our creative interpretations and desires, and to know that these things can happen is important. So just be very mindful of what's going on there and make sure that before you spend any money on anything, you double check that the operation has everything in place to be as safe as possible. And everything else is a risk, but just something that I do feel we need to be careful with and mindful of. We might be a fandom, but we also run fandom commerce in this fandom. So as long as there's an exchange of funds, y'all, we need to be careful and mindful of how things are being managed. So no, I don't really know the details of how the team, outside of having fired this person or removed them from the project, how it's going to be handled moving forward. But I do believe that upward of $27,000 were misappropriated and the funds were used for personal use by this person. Rumor has it was on Genshin Impact, which is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, that's the working rumor right now.
Yes. If that's the case, I really hope her C6, Ito, and Redhorn are cracked. Because my God, and I hope her right and Shogun is poggers. And I don't even know what to say about that. But yeah, guys, it was on rent, furniture, shopping, Genshin, and more. I mean, I would assume that somebody cannot spend $27,000 on just Genshin, but what do I know? I mean, Ayato came out and I just went broke on that man. So, I mean, on that pixel. It's a pixel. I keep forgetting it's a pixel. But yeah. So that's happening. Continuing down the barrage of headlines.
Yes.
There's like so many here, but I'll do this one too.
I know, but we got them. This is all great. This is all just really interesting stuff happening right now.
All right, so Teen Vogue recently released an interview with Thai BL star Copter Panawat coming out as non-binary. This, again, just one more amazing thing to evolve from the celebration of BL as a media and the fact that now the spaces exist. Yes. It's so good. Do you want to go through the other three, or do you want me to continue?
Yeah. I'm just like, I just love listening to Cristal Marie talk.
I'm like, big energy to say stuff.
I'm just over here like hype squad.
But especially like with this particular interview coming out, and like I really feel Um, I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, the trend of red, white, royal, blue, Heartstopper, getting on the big screens, getting those adaptations and appearing, and that's a major thing to happen. I'd say that's a win overall, although we have some additional news to that with some uh ruminations around Alice Osman's comments around BL, which is something we'll definitely talk about in depth more a little bit later, and
Mhm.
everyone's response to that because we love a Heartstopper, we love the story. Not
Yes, and
crazy
we
about the
love.
anti-BL comments.
Yeah, and you know, it's good to embrace the trend of Western BL adaptations, and I guess we can't
Yes.
even call them BL sometimes because that's part of the point of what we're going to talk about a little bit more later. They don't.
Yeah.
Some authors of specific works do not want their work referred to as BL, even though that is
Mm.
text accurate what it is, but sure. But you know, if you've ever read a book like Red, White, Royal, Blue, which is a love story and coming of age story featuring as the main romantic leads two men, or Heartstopper in this case, which is on Netflix. Also, Red, White, Royal, Blue is going to become adapted as well for the big
Yes.
screen. And hopefully, we're going to get even more works, not just from American authors, but also hopefully from European authors, Asian. Well, we've already got. Obviously, we're here because we love our Asian authors, but also Australian authors, African authors. Hopefully, we're going to get just BL represented across the spectrum, and that would
Mhm.
be great. And yeah, we'll dive more into BL's role within that and the kind of stuff. Continue.
Oh, well, this one I know you know a little bit more about, the Niji Sanji
Oh
controversy.
yes, okay.
Yeah, why don't you tackle that one? Because I know you know a little bit more about that than I do.
I shall go then. So VTubers. Um,
VTubers, which
the
we're both
other
are.
right. Well, I'm going to be preview news. I am going to be launching a VTuber sometime in September, but for now
Heck yeah.
I'm just the avatar that you see, that pigtailed thing that you see right there. Right there. That's it. I'm a PNG. But yes, let's talk a little bit about VTubers because that is also something affecting Fujin today. Now, Niji Sanji, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they are one of the most popular and largest VTuber agencies in the world,
Very big.
competitors with Hololive, right up there, V Shoujo, and other agencies that are
Mm,
representing some of the top talent today. Now, Niji Sanji in particular has become much more known because of their launch of male English VTubers,
yeah.
particularly Luxium and Noctis recently. And what happened was that Vox Akuma, which is their, I would say, their fastest growing, largest audience male VTuber right now
Mm.
in the English community, had to double down on a video stream and address his toxic fans. Essentially, an incident occurred where boundaries were not respected, and he had a call from one of his fellow VTubers in the middle of doing a scenario in online and live with his fans, and some of his fans took that personally and saw that as an interruption and a disrespect to their, in this case, like it was an ASMR date scenario that Vox was role
Mm.
playing, and they took that and ran with it in a very negative way and started to basically harass the fellow VTuber that had interrupted the session or called
Oh
him.
my gosh.
And they started to send a lot of, you know, as some toxic areas of fandom does, started to just harass and try to um, I mean, just that targeted harassment against another VTuber. And yeah, somebody here is writing a issue. Vox immediately lost 1,000 subscribers after saying, "I am not your boyfriend." Ah, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
because there is it's true. Crystal, have you dropped your Twitch
My
address
Twitch.
for
My Twitch is the
VTubing?
same as my everything, which is
So
at Cristal
Crystal Marie.
Marie.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything
Okay.
is just me, my name.
So mine, we can. I know our Fujo babysitter, our Fujo host,
Our Fujo
our
babysitter
assistant
is
helper, our
right.
Fujo babysitter, has been gathering links. You can give Mary the link as well to your Twitch. I gave her mine, but I was gonna say I know mine, Mary. If you want to drop those for our commenters, that's also fine. But Heck, I mean, I've only been doing this for about 3 months, and now mine's Peachy Gomu, so it's very different from my Querio's account. Oh, they're in the got it, they're in the description, got you. But I have seen so many times with myself, with friends, other people VTubing that there is a toxicity that floats around like a poisonous little cloud in which fans think if they buy you, they own you and they own your time and they own your boundaries. And that is simply not the case.
Mhm. There is this sense of entitlement that comes with a transaction that unfortunately blurs the lines, especially in VTubing, because the representation of the person on the screen is depicted in as a character. Now,
Mhm.
while it's understandable that obviously you can borrow the image of this character in your own personal imagination for
Nothing
whatever
wrong
you
with a little
want,
parasocial.
but love it. Quote a T-shirt with that, please.
Nothing wrong with a
A
little
little parasocial.
parasocial.
um, that the person who is in fact producing that content and interacting with you is still a human behind the
Mhm.
character, and there are boundaries, and those boundaries do need to be respected. And
Mhm. And we
right
can get into
now,
that even deeper.
yes,
I
and we
got
will.
comments.
And we will. So just know that this has happened. It is happening, and be on the lookout for this type of behavior. And hopefully, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel that a VTuber is having a personal relationship with you, maybe it's time to take a little break from engaging so much with their content. Go outside.
Touch
I
grass.
don't want to say touch grass, touch ass,
Touch
you do
grass.
you,
Touch
whatever,
ass, yes!
but just know that somebody here is putting Vox's fans are some of the worst from what I've seen. I would say that there's an iteration of Vox's fans everywhere in
Yes.
every fandom.
Uh-huh. There is.
I can't even. I don't know a fandom where have you been to the Genshin
No,
hashtag? I'm
they're
just
everywhere. I've only like I said,
BTS.
I've only been VTubing for 3 months and I've already had them, so they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's as somebody put it here very succinctly, it's idol culture, and it's true. It's part
Yeah.
of our current idol culture. So that is something that's affecting us today. So we definitely want to dive a little bit more into boundaries and toxic fans or toxic behaviors among fans. And then you want to take the next one?
Yes. The rise of Discord, walled gardens for safe spaces. Oh, I remember that. Wait, no. But you have again, you have I'll add extra stuff, but again, you've got the main report on this one. So you give the main thing, and then I'll add my little 2 cents.
You know what all this is? This is me being really good as a typical Gemini at like just the very top of most topics. Like, oh, I know all about the headlines, but when we go into the deep topics, it's all you now.
Oh my god.
The actual research is an academic an academic perspective is going to be you. But yeah, so the rise of Discord for safe spaces. So this is actually a
Yes.
trend that has been
Mhm.
happening and that a lot of people have been commenting on. And now I do participate in the industry. I work at Crunchyroll. I've worked before at Federator Networks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're always kind of being very mindful of where fans feel the safest or where the conversations are happening. And I
Right.
don't know if you noticed, but there was a time, maybe just even a few years ago, where the whole thing about being in fandom was, and even I was one of the people who recommended it. Like, be loud, be proud, talk about what you love, showcase it, put your face on it. You have, identify with the content you enjoy, so that there can lend that could hopefully lend some credibility and help it rise above the
Mm.
noise. However, the behavior that has taken over the internet now in regards to how people are treated because of that has led to a much safer, and we'll see how that goes, but trend of just creating walled gardens or safe spaces so that you can enjoy what you love without necessarily subjecting yourself to potential doxing or targeted
Yeah.
harassment online. And I'm gonna have to say that I agree with this because it's I'm a public figure. I'm already out there. Like, I'm doomed. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't save yourselves and leave. It's okay. Leave me here. But like the idea is basically that you need to do what is most comfortable for you. So if you're gonna feel more comfortable showcasing everything you love publicly, then go ahead and do so. You will find a supportive community for it. But if you find yourself unable to participate at that level, or it's just not safe for you, safety always, like prioritize safety, and definitely participate instead in Discord communities that have, methods of approval where you're going to have a much more comfortable and solid and safe ground to explore whatever you want to explore. And
Little
especially,
oases in the big, vast virtual world.
yeah, and like a very recent thing that comes to mind also is above respecting discords and spaces, it's tags, hashtags, and hashtag hacking, I'm going to call it, is one of the reasons why these spaces have become so much better of an option for interacting with your community. Because it used to be that if you put a hashtag with, let's say, a specific ship you like, or a specific series, or a specific type of content, then you could expect within that hashtag content related to the hashtag, right? Or at least that was an unspoken rule of hopefully engaging within the hashtag respectfully with that material. But now there is actually targeted harassment of hashtags, or there has been now for a few
Exactly.
years. So that's pretty horrible, and I've seen it escalate to a point where one of the worst cases I personally saw was and again, the Genshin Impact community. I'm really giving a lot of flack to Genshin today. I don't know,
You're
guys.
like, I'm not feeling the Genshin today.
I'm not feeling the Genshin today, but here I am doing my daily commissions. I play Genshin, guys. I'm sorry. So yeah, I understand the problem. I am the problem.
I am the problem.
But one of the things that hopefully people try to do, and I try to do, is I don't engage with things that I feel uncomfortable with personally. I don't seek it out. I don't look for it. I don't look for that tag in order to criticize it or undermine it in any way. However, I did see something that escalated very quickly in the community when one of the characters came out and he was being shipped with one of the female characters in the game, and that female character had already had a fanon space where she was not supposed to be heterosexual or heterosexual presenting. And the fans of that female character then would also target the fans of the version of that character where they headcanoned her as heterosexual. And then it became a back and forth between both. So, okay, Yulinator, you're asking very specifics. Haha, I ship that ship. Okay, so let me just say who it is. If you guys do know Genshin Impact, when Ayato came out, there was a section of the fandom that was shipping him with Yai Miko, which is a pink-haired fox shrine maiden, and OP Ara Ara mommy character. I love her. She's bae. But Yai Miko was also very much shipped with the Raiden Shogun, and it became a huge fight between those two fandoms, which is actually very common in a lot of fandoms in general. Somebody trying to establish why their ship is somehow superior to the other ship. Both are imaginary, by the way, but sure. But where it started really getting really, in my opinion, dangerous and just over the top was one of the people who was being targeted, or one of the people who was engaging with the Yai Miko and Ayato tag, felt that they had to retaliate to the Raiden and Yai shippers by developing a fan fiction and posting it on AO3 and tagging it for Raiden and Yai Miko shippers that was all about Ayato turning Yai Miko heterosexual.
Oh boy.
Yeah. and like, oh god. And it's like this is, what is this, psychological terrorism? What is everybody trying to do
it's
here?
The ship wars on a whole new level.
Oh my gosh, like ship wars used to be just, I hate these people. I'm gonna write a post on my Tumblr.
It used to be, oh, I don't like you, or that was the worst of it. I do remember the literal worst of it on LiveJournal, where like there was like two factions in a ship war, and they were like, well, maybe I just don't like you because you're really like hardcore my no TP, and that was the extent of it. That was as bad as it got. If you're like, well, I don't like them because they have a ship, that was the worst.
Right.
Now there's attacks, there's organization, it's scary. It's a literal war.
And no, Eroshama. I hope I didn't butcher that username, but it's not wrong that you find it very funny. It is objectively kind of hilarious because we're talking about something where it's just, I am basically trying to psychologically trigger you through a very, very consistent targeted attack, but at the same time, it is so dangerous because the people who are usually involved in these tags could be also vulnerable to that type of attack. And that's the thing. It's like, where do you draw the line between, oh, this is kind of funny, and also this is very not funny? Who are you affecting and why?
I
And
think that line gets really like it becomes more and more obvious when someone's actually getting hurt.
yeah, and
Yeah.
if I'm on AO3, I can't believe I'm about to say this. AO3 is my safe space. If I'm on my
That's a
safe
danger
space,
zone. What are you, a war reporter? Like,
listen, I get in the trenches. I click on those hashtags.
you're getting down and dirty.
I see something I don't understand. I click it just to see. I'm like, what do you mean, May Mermaid Month? It's time for the Omega Eggy something something. What? Listen.
Eggs.
Okay. But you go challenge accepted.
Challenge
Yes.
accepted.
Now, but
Your
that's
headline.
me. You see, that's me.
you.
If I go into AO3 and I decide to danger click, that's on me. That's a choice I made. However, I do think that it's vicious and mean to create something and tag it a certain way. Like literally telling someone who's lactose intolerant, hey, this doesn't have dairy, and then it's actually dairy. Like,
You know what though? You know what? We should really coin that term. If it hasn't been done already, because I don't hear it that often, but we should really coin that term danger clicking.
danger
Like
clicking.
people who are going in specifically the danger clicking isn't necessarily a problem, but how people use their danger clicking. Like you go in, you're exploring something, you're investigating something, but there
Mhm.
are people who danger click in just to use it as fodder in whatever they're doing against somebody. You
Mhm.
know how you use your danger clicking. So I'm gonna coin that term, danger
Yeah.
clickers.
We've got danger clickers, and what was I saying after that about the about wait. um like, oh gosh, I forgot. I'm gonna rewatch this VOD, this VOD, and just remember and tweet about it. But essentially, going into a oh, okay, yes, lactose intolerance. So if
Yes,
I am
lactose intolerant.
someone who is genuinely allergic to dairy, for whatever specific reason, right? I'm genuinely allergic to dairy. My body has a
Mhm.
physical reaction. It is bad for me. And I am not engaging in danger clicking. I am not clicking on that hashtag that says dairy product. I'm going for non dairy product. And then
Mhm.
you slide into those non dairy products a dairy product, an ice cream, like a whole milk ice cream, then that's no longer on me. That is on you. That is an attack. So I do wonder about what kind of like ways can people be protected or safeguarded against that type of triggering content
The
if
best thing is like your own boundaries, but if there are people who are ignoring their own boundaries, but then blaming somebody else, it's literally, I'm blaming you that I bought ice cream. I'm blaming you, the cashier register, that I bought ice cream at the store and I ate it and I shat my pants. Like,
yeah, and that's the big difference. Like if you chose that ice cream, that's on you. But if
that's
somebody
on
shoved
you.
it in your mouth, that's
It is
something else.
labeled. It says ice cream. It says non-dairy free. Like it's got the dairy. It's like dairy, 100% made of pure cow. Like it is the moo juice.
It's the moo
Fully
juice.
labeled, tagged, labeled, categorized, and you still do it. That's on you.
Yeah, that's on you. I just kind of really wonder about the kind of like the escalation of that behavior into, okay, so when it
Mhm.
becomes an actual attack, because you just told me that you love the moo juice, but you don't like the, I don't know, the cucumber juice, and then I take a cucumber and shove it in your mouth. Like, wait, hold on, I
Wait,
told you I
what?
don't like cucumber juice. I
What show?
I'm not buying cucumber juice. I didn't come to the cucumber aisle, but you literally came from behind and just put it in my mouth. Now that's an assault. Now that is something that like that's a
Yes,
psychological assault in my opinion. So that is happening in fandom. Be wary of
it
it
is.
and be careful, but there aren't that many protections for knowing exactly what kind of hashtag might be safe. Just understand that at the very least, the bare minimum assumption is that if a hashtag is labeling something, it's for people who do engage with that content to participate in.
And
So don't
the
do it.
hashtags are there for that reason, but people who misuse them as a form of attack against others because of whatever their reasoning be, that's when we got a massive problem because what we use, it's like if somebody took the ice cream container and filled it with pickle juice. it says ice cream all over it. You think you're getting ice cream. You get home, you open it up, and you're like, what the heck? And it's because somebody tampered with it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So be mindful of that. I don't know how many people have been experiencing this necessarily, but it's definitely a topic that is affecting Fujin today. And hopefully we can figure out ways together as a community to kind of create a separation, because this is also the result of that sort of fandom shipping wars that continues to happen, where people just don't respect each other's ships. You don't have to like someone else's ship, but you shouldn't necessarily try to target and harass it if you don't agree with it. You can go ahead and write a thesis, a state of the union on why you dislike that ship, and post it and share it with your friends and share it with whoever is willing or wants to listen or read that post. But coming into their space and attacking them, that is just such a bad
That's
habit.
where we get into the no-no zone.
Yeah. Fandom no-no zones. Another t-shirt.
I know we want to get to Danmei. That's super important. But also, do we want to round back around to anything that we covered in the news really quick?
I do think we should touch on the Western BL adaptations, because there's a lot of toxic fandom behavior that arises from feeling entitled to that behavior because someone with more, let's say, visibility in the community or power within the industry has normalized it and or made it okay. And
when you are, we learn this, you already know this, being who you are and being a public figure, and then you learn this as you become a public figure, is that you have responsibility because there's a lot of people watching you. So in the case of Heartstopper, I own the books. I love the books. I think they're wonderful. I love them. I'm so glad they got an adaptation. Oh, I have some questions when it came to the author, because Alice Oseman, it came back up. It was an older post from like 2 to 3 years ago, something like that. They had said that BL fetishized gay men, and that was written plainly right there in an Instagram comment. And then I believe I was provided a secondary screen cap that showed them doubling down on it. And it was disappointing, but not unexpected, because while they're writing this content, they've created this wonderful content. It does get categorized as BL in many countries. It gets categorized as queer media in other countries. So, it just depends. I saw somebody make a comment about Heartstopper being categorized as BL in Japan. I was like, yes, but that's also because any gay media would get categorized as BL in Japan. Like, that's just where they put it. That's where they stick in it. But when it came to Osman making this comment, it's so unfortunate, because I don't think they are homophobic or transphobic in any way, but what is happening is ignorance around Eastern media.
Yep.
That's what's occurring, and that is not uncommon to see with Western creators. It does happen sometimes, and there are people who just seem to put themselves in a higher position morally due to a regional association. So, like, and that's a lot of fancy words, but like, I mean, because they're in a Western country, they seem to think that what they are creating or their stance on something is morally superior, when they may not have the full information on the Eastern media or Eastern cultures or societies or LGBTQ experiences in those places. And that lack of information, and also the choice that they individually make to not educate themselves or inform themselves on it. It's something different to say, hey, look, you know what? I actually don't know much about this country. I don't listen. Let's say somebody, not me personally, because clearly I have the degree in it, but like, not me, but
not me.
No, I'm always
degree.
learning. There's always a perspective I can gain that I haven't gained yet. But having that kind of attitude is what we need to have. You need to always be willing to learn about someone else's experience. So it's okay to say, hey, I may write BL, but I'm lacking this sort of experience about I may not know about this LGBTQ experience in Japan, or this certain genre of queer media in Japan. I have heard these things. I don't think those things would be good if they're true, but I may not know about it. That's okay. That's okay to say that you don't know enough about it.
Mhm.
But to take stances of saying, oh, hey, BL fetishizes gay men was simply not true. It's not true in the industry. It's not true in the history. It's not true for many LGBTQ people who are there who consume it with no problem. So that's an unfortunate thing that occurred. I don't have any updates on that situation. I
Me
know there was a
neither.
bit of a blow up, but I had not heard yet if Osman ever addressed it.
No, she, at least that I know of as well, she has not so far. If anybody has heard about it, then please inform us. But
Yeah,
even
I've not heard.
working at a large media company, like I have not come across any clarification on this point, and it has been brought up quite a bit online. So there is a window of opportunity for her to address it, and she has not. So I also wonder about that. And especially because of, well, let me just go ahead and I'm gonna just read the tweet that she made.
Oh yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
so Alice Osman was asked by someone whether or not her comic at the time, because Heartstopper, in case anybody didn't know, was first a comic. She puts,
Mhm,
"Yep, no explicit sex in this comic. The characters are
mhm,
teenagers, so it's just
mhm.
not appropriate." Okay, I have comments on that. And
I
even
have
if they and even if they weren't, I'd have no interest in drawing that. I wouldn't
comments.
describe this comic as, and she puts in quotation marks, yaoi or even BL. They are genres of comic that tend to fetishize and eroticize queer
Ugh.
men in a really bad way.
Ah.
This comic is just a romance between two boys and a coming of age story. Okay, let's
Okay, this thing has layers.
unpack
Like
that.
there's okay layers in there when it's like I'm not interested in drawing the sex between these characters. That's completely acceptable. If you don't want to draw that, you don't need to draw that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
totally fine.
cool.
But then it get layered. It got layered with things that are like, "Oh god."
So
Same
I'm
with like saying if Osmond doesn't consider Heartstopper a BL, like it's categorized that way in some countries, but if they
and
don't
it's
consider it a
banned for that
BL,
reation in some countries, like whether she likes it or
yeah,
not.
exactly. But if
She
they don't
just said
consider
it.
it that way, that's okay. But then to add that second part, that's where it's like stop, stop.
I love that BL literally means boys love, and she's saying it's not a boys love, it's just a romance between two boys. Hmm. Oh, okay. Um,
I know.
I'm okay. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
sure. Okay.
know, I know.
Yeah.
See, the thing is like
Mm,
it's real. I don't know about you, but like it really just I know it comes from a massive misunderstanding of what BL is in its place in the world and then around the rest of the world. BL is that kind of male loving male, bi, pan, gay, queer, queer males loving content in Japan. That's a big part of it. And of course, you have gay komi and you have so many others. BL is what it is, but
mhm.
it gets sort of used as an overarching sort of label amongst, I think, certain consumers and fans. It's just that in some countries we have BL. I always look at the US first because I'm like, well, first of all, I'm here. But second of all, I have a good understanding of like our marketing sections. We have a BL section, but then in like Barnes and Noble or whatever, we have a BL section. But then
Mhm.
we also have LGBTQ media section. So like
Mhm.
we have different sections. So,
Yeah.
like in my brain, there are some different places, places. Oh my god, what are
Places.
words? Places.
You're like, I'm an academic. I have a degree. Now let's go to the places.
I retired. I became an influencer instead.
Oh
For this
no, not the
reason.
influences.
And not the influences. But there's different places that you can place things. But it's almost like people are like, no,
It's the
when they say
distancing
it's
for me.
not BL because BL's a bad thing, I'm like, oh God, you don't know.
Can you imagine if all media was treated the same way, because there's a culture that led to Alice Osman feeling empowered and feeling entitled to
Mhm.
say that, like, establishing to her fandom, hey, I am like you in some way. I also object to this objectionable content, because at the time
Mm.
when Alice was developing her work, when she was participating in the BL community, that was the entire topic. That was the culture. The culture was, this is wrong. You're fetishizing. You're eroticizing. Which, by the way, I
Oh,
really,
hell.
fetishizing is not one of those words that I just want to like cleanse from my brain, because of how much it is overused and misused. That
I
it's
think
not
lots
even.
of people need therapy, and I say that because I have a therapist who constantly says people are really misusing the word fetishize a lot.
Not to distract, but can I share a story of the most recent use I
Oh
saw?
my
Like,
god,
literally
please.
yesterday. I was there just browsing on my Twitter tags, looking for my content, and somebody puts, yes, I was in the Genshin content. I'm sorry, Genshin Impact. But essentially, I was looking at my king, Zhongli, and somebody put, oh my god, those are my favorite Genshin characters, the tall ones. And then somebody put as a comment, why do you fetishize height that way? And I'm like,
Oh
um
god.
that person's just explaining their preference, like it. And they literally had to do a comment explaining why they enjoyed that Zhongli was tall. And I'm like, you shouldn't have to explain to people that you prefer a tall pixel in your game. What do you mean fetishizing height? Like, sorry, I don't love your short, king, I guess. What? The short, oh yeah, and then there's the short people are children argument, which is another thing, because now we're getting into the, I'm a short queen. I am 5'2", and according to a lot of fandom, that means I am codified child.
That's what some of my, oh my god, this came up in VTubing the other day with me.
Oh
This
god.
literally came up in VTubing the other day, and it really just got to me. But like the child coding stuff when it comes to human adults.
I am not
That's all I
baby.
got.
Even if I'm
Oh
baby, but
god.
I'm not baby. I'm not a baby.
I'm not baby. You're not baby.
No,
You adult.
I
Grown ass adult.
I'm a grown ass adult baby. That's what I'm baby, but I'm not a baby. Yeah,
It's baby in the sexy way.
that's saying what the hell is that? Unhinged.
Oh
Ah.
my god.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Looking at the chat. Yes. 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 I see a lot of y'all understand and have been addressed also as being child coded in some way. I guess.
Mhm.
I guess any human being who is beneath 5'6" is now, well, basically a child and being groomed by a much younger person who was tall. I guess. Is that how that works? I don't. But yes, that was anyway. But back to the sorry, back to Alice Osman and this
It's a topic that
idea.
comes up on trend.
It's because she used the word fetishize, and that just triggers me now.
That just wait, it was one of the first comments too about the, if she, if, and I know Alice Osman uses she they, I believe are their pronouns, but like, um if Osman is saying, oh, I'm uncomfortable drawing that, you know what, that's fine, that's okay. To say that it's unrealistic or wrong, I'm kind of like, yo, my niece is 22. That girl was working it from an early age. She, like, her mother called me once and she was 14. Her daughter, my niece, was 14, and she was like, I just caught her making out with 4 boys at once, and I'm like, damn, get it. And she's like, what do I do? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not a parent in this. Like, all I could be like is, damn, get it, girl.
Wow.
But like
Yeah, enjoy.
it's just unrealistic to say that teenagers are not having those kinds
I
of relations with each other. It does happen frequently.
I'm not gonna talk about other teenagers so that somehow I don't get also clipped out of context talking about, oh yeah, teenagers. Ooh. I'm gonna talk about me as a teenager.
Yeah, I
Most
mean, that happens, but
Yes.
it's yes.
When
It's just,
I
to
was a
say it's
wee baby.
unrealistic is just ridiculous.
I remember discovering most of the most erotic media that I ever consumed when I was 13 or 14. And I did this on my own, and nobody gave it to me.
Mhm.
I was the one searching it out
I
for
was looking
myself,
for it too, yeah.
because curiosity, that's what teenagers have. And I remember discovering it. And if anything, it was the first time that I saw a joyous celebration of horniness, which,
Uh-huh.
considering how I personally grew up, which is my context, which might not be the same context for Alice Sussman, I grew up in a very conservative environment where being
Mhm.
in any way joyous about my own sexuality was deeply frowned upon and repressed and or punished. So to see media where I could partake in my own private time, in my own space, with that side of myself was extremely important and very important to
Mhm.
my own healthy development as a human. So I don't think that honestly anybody should necessarily be policing how a teenager engages with their own sexuality in their own terms.
It's an individual experience, and I see it as such for myself and for others. I am not concerned with someone else's individual experience
Yeah.
in terms of discovering sexuality because it's with themselves. It's something that they as an individual discover. And just as it was with me it was sexual discovery and exploration is something that develops as an individual experience, and that's simply what it is.
Mm. And by the way, just a heads up that
Yes.
we've got 8 minutes left, and we've only talked about
Oh,
the
no, no,
headline.
we go another 30 minutes.
We
Remember,
don't.
hour and a half.
No, but it's 6:22. We started at
We go to
5:30.
7. 5:30 to 7.
Okay, yeah, but oh right, Q&A, Q&A.
You're Eastern like me, aren't you? You're
Yes,
Eastern.
yes, I'm
Eastern.
at
Yeah, okay,
6:22
yeah.
where I'm
We're an
at.
hour behind Fujo or hour ahead. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. We're an hour off of Fujo.
Now remember, Aeri is an academic.
Yeah. I
What is
was.
time?
I've
But
been
the
a yaoi
places is where you
influencer.
and where you live. um but yes, Osman's work, as Digital Meow Mix is saying here, is very BL inspired. It's not just BL inspired, they consumed actively BL and spoke about it, and
BL,
that's
yeah, it was inspired, heavily influenced by, just with
uh
their own twist on it. So to
yeah,
suddenly then poo-poo on
what influences
BL
you.
because of your moral standing is
A little racist, by the way,
a
also
little
just a
racist
little
and also
racist.
kind of hypocritical.
I mean, if we judged all media by how it emerged within the context of the countries it emerged in, then we would have to look at American media the same way. We would have to accept that if somebody's trying to do an interpretation of what is superhero movies, then they could go to the 1950s and include all of those forbidden Disney movies and their content. And just all of the history of racism in America would have to also be wrapped up into the media context and talk about how
We
ew
are
Americans and their media,
yeah.
that media is bad for these reasons. It's like, no, there's an evolution of the media, and especially with BL and the way that it and I'm not going to go into the history of BL obviously, but like,
We don't need to. Everybody knows it at this point.
yes,
And if you
y'all know the
don't, go to one of
history.
the other panels. They explain it.
Exactly. There's somebody there dedicated to the history of BL. So go for there. For them. Oh my God, what a word. It's you. I blame you for the
It's
fact that
me.
I
It's
am
me. I
running
just
out of
get you
words.
hyped and like your brain starts going faster than your mouth. But the point is
Yes.
that viewing this stuff from a Western perspective, when you are not informed or educated on what is happening in a different part of the world, just means that you are the problem, not them. But that is a really good segue into Danmei if you wanted to move there.
Yes, Eroshama. Sorry, she cracked. I mean, you. I mean, Eroshama, whatever your pronoun is. I respect it. You cracked me up with that comment. Yeah. So evolution of the media, right? So Danmei. Oh God.
Because
Sorry. I'm
that's
just
booming. Danmei is having its golden era.
Danmei Gold Rush, everybody. Now that Seven Seas has demonstrated in the proper publishing media landscape that we are dealing with a very commercially viable property in Danmei as a genre that is widely accepted and widely purchased and has reached the New York Times bestsellers list multiple times, and it's cracked something in the industry, and it's created an entire wave where I'm sure this is just the beginning. We are going to see so many more books being adapted into also their screen counterparts, but in Western media for Western audiences from these books as well, which I have no idea how it will be handled. I don't trust Netflix, but let's see. um, just something that is huge because the impact that it's had on discourse and on people who might have not engaged with BL before and their first exposure to it now is Danmei. They're coming at BL from a very different angle than anybody who grew up with the initial iterations of BL with
I
terms like
felt like
yaoi and
BL
the
was
dialogue.
already sort of a complicated, like it was a complex sort of topic with a lot of ins and outs, a lot of different layers and things that you had to know. To come in on Don May, I'm like, this is like starting on advanced level.
Yeah, it's not even just coming in on a genre that most people might not even be familiar with or its context. It's also the way that Danmei is presented comes
Yeah,
hand in hand with
super different.
wuxia and xianxia as the way that Chinese media presents its stories in this case. And
Mhm.
personally, my first encounter, which I'm sure was the case with most people who are into Danmei, was definitely Mo Shantung Shou's Modazushi, The Untamed. And I literally remember watching it while having Wikipedia next to me and having to research every single term, everything about the Dao. Like I understand the Dao now, guys.
You need
I
to watch it
am
with
the
a
Dao.
playthrough guide.
Dude, every term, the fact that they have three names, Lan Shan, Han Guanjun, also Lang Wanji, and the titles, and all. I know the way. Yes, I am the way now, the Wei Wuxian. But getting into Danmei and having to first deal with the culture shock of the Xianxia itself and Wuxia itself, then heading into the culture shock of you might not be someone who is familiar with or interacts often with queer media
Which is
and or
not
its
uncommon at
audience.
all in this realm.
So now I'm having the circumstance where my mother from the Dominican Republic is this Catholic woman who used to think that Pikachu was the devil is calling me to ask me questions about the like word of honor. And I don't know what to tell her where this is going now because I'm like, mom, you think they're friends, huh? Okay. Subtext. Yeah. Wow. And my mother is watching this and enjoying it and has decided I'm the expert on it, which is true, but I didn't want her to know that, and asks me questions about it.
Pikachu was her gateway to Danmei.
And that's the thing. It's like now we've got Danmei potentially as mainstream media gateway to BL and the BL community, discourse, and fandom. And well, that's where we are now, guys, because bestsellers, because somebody somewhere is entering a Barnes and Noble and seeing a shelf, and here are the best-selling titles of this week, and they are seeing 3 copies of Scum Villain Self-Saving System and thinking, well, it's illustrated, maybe it's for kids, and buying it for their kids, and then they're gonna be pretty shocked when they get to My Goo Ridge, let me tell you. But Jehovah's Witnesses here, we're doing the same. Oh my god. But yeah, so we are dealing now with kind of a a bit of a cultural shift that is we're barely scratching the surface of what it's going to be like now to discuss these media works in general, because it used to be very contained within online spaces, and now my mom is calling me, you know. My mom watches it with my dad. My 72-year-old dad is watching Word of Honor.
This is the world we live in.
Yes.
It's kind of awesome, but it's terrifying.
I mean, I love it. I hope that helps get them excited about maybe traveling to China and taking me with them to visit. I would love that. I would love to eat good Chinese food in China.
Right?
But other than that, I am super scared of the kind of questions that are coming, while also being very, very in a chaotically, I guess, as a person who's chaos energy in the internet, very, very looking forward to those Thanksgiving and Christmas discussions when they come up once they finish. You know? Because
I'll send you a care package.
because yeah, you're right. Word of Honor is an excellent starting point. Then I'm gonna introduce them to Immortality. I'm gonna literally just make my mother read because she loves to read Erha. But yeah, no, moving on.
But what a way to see how many people it's reaching.
Yes.
Like, wow, what an audience, like huge audience.
How do you guys feel about it, by the way, dear audience that's here right now? How do you
Dear audience.
fellow Fujin, how do you feel about the fact that, you know, Nana might call you and ask you about why Wei Wuxian is looking longingly and at Han Guanjun in that last episode, like and that's on her Netflix, like I love it. Pork chop. I'm a run.
My family has not tapped into this. They're probably not going to because they live under rocks. But I just know that the people that are reaching this, hopefully maybe it'll be some sort of jumping off point for them. Maybe this will introduce some new concepts if they can see it. If they're enjoying it so much and they get to that point, they might be like, huh, Well, I enjoyed it to this point, so maybe I should reconsider my stance. Maybe I should reconsider my perspective, which BL did so much for so many people.
I agree, and I really, really hope that that's the case. I hope that because
I know.
Danmei stories in general are so interlaced with political plots and conspiracy and things to do with fantasy and battles and things like that, that it will allow the space for casual readers who have not engaged with that content before to instead see the
Mhm.
development of the queer relationship as normal and
You know,
maybe
if we're gonna be
see
one
it
of these oh, sorry, go ahead.
normalized. Yeah, no, just that. Just
If somebody's gonna be one of these people who is loving something, enjoying it in the moment, there is a whisper of queer. They're like, no, it's canceled, it's terrible. You know, what a large reaction, what a disproportionate reaction in reality. I mean, you enjoy something so not you, Crystal,
oh,
not you, but
me?
you, general
I
you,
mean, I don't
you
know
know,
what it is. Yeah, maybe it's true.
trusting the universe. You enjoy something so much, and then one little thing like that happens, and you have such a disproportionate reaction to it. It's like, well, should you not consider? Should you not do a little self reflection?
Wow. Here we go. Let's ask humanity to self-reflect.
That's asking too much, apparently.
This is
But that
this
that
is
sort of does
positive.
bend into the fandom behaviors and trends. I will tell us to keep moving because we got less than 30 minutes. I know there's a lot of questions.
Oh my gosh, yes. And true, true, true. We oh gosh, you see, I told you. I told you. Did I not say it? We would
We
have
we could go on for hours. I mean, literally, this could be an entire Twitch stream. We'll do this when we're VTubing. Like,
but to comment on something you mentioned before, basically, if you're going to be enjoying Eastern BL and you're going to talk to someone who is enjoying Eastern BL for the first time,
mm,
I think it's really important to kind of figure out a way to make sure that the conversation doesn't force a Western lens on it because
yes,
Western values don't synergize with Eastern ones. And before they they're going to have an opinion, they're going to have a reaction, but if you have engaged with this media before, you're kind of the guiding light here where you get to kind of give the context behind certain things, certain areas of expression, certain pieces of information they might be lacking that will help evolve the conversation outside of just its typical kind of like knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, the Chinese gays, huh? Like, well, actually, well, let's talk about it.
that's exactly what you said. You know, if the Western values don't always synergize with the Eastern ones, and the thing is that those Eastern values are what's informing the content. That's what makes up the media.
I mean, I'm hoping that my mother is actually more shocked by the fact that Wen Kaching is a demon because she's Catholic than the fact that he's gay. Like, I hope that's really the takeaway, that she'll be like, yeah, yeah, they're gay, good. But did you know that's the devil? And I'm like, okay, yes, mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry there was this evil Satan
Did
like
you know
cult.
the devil is gay?
Nah, my mom will say, yeah, I expected that.
I mean, little Nas already got to us for us. So.
I was about to mention. but like I really the socialist brotherhood. Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I actually hope that that's what the conversation evolved in.
I hope it involves in the best possible way because wouldn't that be just delightful?
I would love it. Yeah, seriously. I hope it's my dad just having an issue with the fact that Wen Kashing wears makeup. Be like, why does he have to wear eyeliner though? I'm like, yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Sure. Listen.
Because if we don't put eyeliner on him, Dad, the camera's not going to pick up his eyeballs.
How if he doesn't have the eyeliner, Dad? How you know he evil and the hot one? How you know?
How are you going to know? Because the eyeliner is always on point when they're evil. Always.
Yes, this is how you know. How do I
This is
know
how
this is
you
my
know.
sexy evil man that I'm supposed to love? Even and he's my meow meow, even though he probably kills
He's
everyone.
my meow meow.
Okay, but yeah.
Somebody make us merch.
Oh, is that the evil character? He's my meow meow.
He's my meow meow. Yes.
Yes. But yes. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of issues to tackle with the sudden impact that Danmei is having. The fact that it's taken the publishing industry by storm. That now people are actively seeking books of this category, and leads back into the conversation about Alice Osman. That it would really suck if Western authors then tried to distance themselves from BL by establishing how
Mhm.
theirs is morally superior in any way, even though it's
Mhm.
quite literally the same context under different contexts.
But you know
Like
what's awesome about this media? It's also it's forcing them, which is why we're seeing these kind of reactions, but it's forcing them to face their racist perspectives. It is forcing them to confront
mhm.
that, and some of them double down and say, "No, I'm not," and continue on with the racism, but the others are being confronted of, "I've never thought about it this way because I have a Western-centric perspective."
Mhm. But
It's a
yes,
lot. Take a
yeah,
breather. Everyone
yeah.
unshrimp your spines. Hydrate. I choked on my water earlier. I was trying to, like, quietly cough.
Oh, I've just been here drinking soda and trying not to burp. Mm,
But
but
that, you
yeah.
know what? With Osmond, that also brings up a lot of stuff we've seen around BL, and I'm sure with Danmei too. Just any of this content, if someone is enjoying it, of course there is a slew, a variety of fan created content. But that brings us into the rhetoric that we're seeing in virtual spaces.
Oh, sorry, I
Yes.
actually got cut off a little, so I didn't hear the last part you said.
Oh no!
No!
I said the oh my god, my brain just stopped. I was saying we're starting to see this rhetoric in virtual spaces around femphobia, transphobia, the phobia of men targeting trans men or non-binary people. We're seeing that in virtual spaces with the increase, the huge boom of fan-made content, and then fans respond. You know, these other people respond with their bigotry of, oh well, I don't like what you made because of bigoted reason.
XYZ, which brings us to the next big topic, toxic
Mm-hmm.
fandom and its grip on virtual spaces.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
We all
hmm.
know. We all know. We all know what it looks like. We all know. But the thing that's so distressing is that sometimes I think some of the people doing this, of course, we expect this from the traditional, I'll call them toxic fandom members, people who are just blatantly homophobic in everything they do. But to hear it parroted from other LGBTQ members, it's
Mm.
just like, what Kool-Aid have you been drinking?
Don't you love it when our own community cannibalizes itself? It's so great. It feels so great.
It's wonderful, and it literally comes from this place of I said this, I said that it's vaguely political, but I said this to my wife earlier of, it's like we're all very left-leaning, but it's like they're calling the general populace of fandom the Democrats, where they're like the perfected, morally superior left. And I'm just like, that's their take on it. I'm not saying that's the actual case. I'm saying that's their perspective. Because they're saying, well, yeah, you may be queer and you may have all these perspectives, but I'm morally superior to you because I take it the extra mile. But that extra mile ends up hurting the community because they've been digesting and regurgitating rhetoric from literally made somebody, oh, I think it was Sam at my panel yesterday, called it crypto turfing.
Crypto
Was it
turfing?
crypto
What there?
turfing?
We have crypto turfing? I thought we had astro turfing. I didn't know about crypto turfing.
We have crypto turfing apparently, where this stuff is being reframed, fed to people in a sneaky kind of manner. They're digesting it, spreading it around, and they're feeding it back into our community, all under the guise of they think they're morally superior, but in reality, it was turf rhetoric.
Oh god, I get it what you mean now by crypto. Okay, okay. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it's turfing as in TE. Okay. Cuz I know about astroturfing and I think that also happens in like these spaces with we know the players in it.
Mhm.
Where there's stuff that's taken out of context specifically to spread it around also as misinformation. Like for example, if you see a person's art and somebody edits that art and then spreads it around and says that art was created by this person, even though that's an edited version of the original art that is
Mhm.
now possibly offensive, right? So that happens a lot in art communities as well. And that's one way to dox, bully, and harass artists in the community. And that happens a lot. And that's a type of astroturfing as well. So crypto turfing is just like, oh, adding yet another
There's a
beautiful,
lot of stuff
lovely
going on. We have
layer.
entered the virtual age. Like, we're
No.
going full Ghost in the Shell at this point.
Oh, gosh. And I just, the worst thing is that it's so familiar to me at the same time. Like this idea of always having a specific side of fandom try to impose its views on another side of fandom around the, let's say, term family values of it has always happened
Mhm.
in queer spaces as a way to limit queer spaces and
Ryu
expression in any
Kocha
way.
down in the comments pointed it out and basically said what I said, but better. They simplified it. Yeah, crypto is secret hidden. It means
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there are people pretending not to be TERFs in order to spread TERF rhetoric to baby queers. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like avatars, yeah, it's like Nazi avatars on Twitter. Um,
basically.
I got yeah, so that's indoctrinating people into a mindset that serves, a type of mentality that eventually leads, like if you follow it through to its very end, leads to the elimination of the queer platform in and of itself.
Mhm.
Like, because at the end of the day, the more voices you silence within the community, the more artists you silence, the more people you remove from the platform, regardless of whether you agree or don't agree with the type of content they're creating, the less the platform is strong enough to hold itself up, because there's not enough being created and explored and evolving within that platform to sustain itself. So that's why I think that it's a lot of self cannibalizing when it's coming from within our own community.
Mhm.
And there's very little room for dialogue, and that's where it becomes more of a situation that it gets into the political. Because I've tried to have, or I initially in the early stages of policing online, with the whole fujoshi as a word, fujin
Oh
fudanshi as a
God, yeah.
concept. Back then, in my baby fujoshi ways, I tried to have a conversation with someone who brought up some of their points, right? I thought, oh,
Yeah.
maybe this is a perspective I don't know about, because you start that way. You start from a good place of good faith, but these are bad faith actors with bad faith questions and bad faith arguments. Their entire point is not to listen to your side, it's simply to continuously ensure that you are overpopulated with exactly their accusations as fact, even if they're not.
Mhm.
And that is propaganda of
Yep.
and
That's it. You nailed it.
I believe that's what some bad governments do or did back in the day to establish an authoritarian regime. So this is a way to kind of colonize queer spaces with turf rhetoric.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you get to hear I oh my God, I confuse people sometimes. I make them mad, and it's just beautiful to watch, but at the same time, they are holding their position. It's really sad. It's very pessimistic feeling for me. But people will be like, "Wow, you like BL." And my initial I'm a great place to start in this argument because I'm their worst nightmare. I represent I represent everything that they don't know how to deal with. So like initially what will
Even
be said to me
VTubers.
even VTubers initially what will be said to me is that oh you read BL and you shouldn't read BL, and I'll be like, well, why not? And they'll be like, because you need to read something that matches what you are. And they're like, well, you're woman loving woman. I'm like, well, no, I'm non-binary. And they're like, and then the transphobia slips in. We're like, well,
Mm.
you're not really like as non-binary. You're not male loving male. And I'm like, I don't think you really understand I'm non-binary. And they're like, well, then you'll just have to find something for non-binaries. I'm like, that doesn't exist.
I,
Not
I
yet.
I also
We're
love
working on it.
I also love the assumption of what women loving women means. Like, up chat. I'm sorry. This might get a little TMI, a little NSFW.
Oh, it's
I hope
fisky. Fisky's in
it's
here.
getting up, but I wonder if they're aware that if you ever engage with a woman and you're a woman and you buy or purchase a strap on, that if you're going to engage in anal sex with a woman, then there might be some parts that overlap in terms of care and what you might need to assure the comfort of your partner and other things. Sorry, chat. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm sorry. I don't know. This is still it's a weekend and this is Fujokan. Let me be. But also, if I'm being questioned to that level about my sexual life, like whether or not my sexual life justifies my ability to enjoy a piece of media, then let's get into it. Sure, let's go into the nitty gritty, because I really don't think that most of the people making these arguments even understand what they're
Oh,
arguing against or about.
they don't. And what I slam them with
Kudage.
at the very end of that is when they try to get into the oh my God, what is that gender critical stuff, when they try to be like, well, what are your
Oh,
chromosomes? I've been slammed with that before on Twitter. They'll be like, what are your chromosomes? I'll be like, I'm intersex. So fucking good luck.
And by the way, one of the largest intersex communities is in Dominican Republic. So if I say, I'm Dominican, it's like have fun
Hey,
investigating the history of my country, yo. Enjoy that. So
I
yeah.
just it's they can't keep up with their own stuff they're being fed, because the thing is that they truly don't understand it fully to begin with. They're just trying to use something because they're trying to put themselves in a morally higher position, because they genuinely think it'll make, well, some of them, not all, genuinely think it'll make the space better, but then there are ones who just really want to see it burn. And you have this mix of bad intentions and mix of good intentions paving the way for the bad intentions.
Nah, and just it's just the ignorance as well, like of not understanding that there are so many different flavors and expressions within the queer community of queer expression and within the queer community of having sexual interactions. Like it's you're not gonna find the same gay twice, okay? Like I don't know how you think the gays work, but it's like people who say like it's bad to say someone's a bottom or a top. Like let's start with the fact that BL did not come up with bottoms and tops. This is not a concept that BL is responsible.
This came from our community.
Okay,
that was not a BL thing.
These are
BL reflects real life in that regard.
These are preferences that we have as individuals within our community, however we want to express it. And yes, some people might find it offensive in our community too. Cool. And then there's some people who love it so much, live by it. Literally will post waifu on their ass, and that is what they like. And it's I love it. Xeno Fujoshi
also, Crystal,
invented.
we have like 13 minutes and we gotta take questions.
Oh gosh,
I just need to give you the heads up.
Right. So okay. So in summary, there is a difference between preferences and fetishizing. And I really want the word fetishizing to just leave the lexicon overall. And for just everybody, you see someone saying you're fetishizing, mute, block,
it's not
buy
used
it
correctly.
done.
Yeah, you gotta have hard
adios.
boundaries in this. If you're
Adios,
going
that
to
person doesn't
choose
get
to
it.
educate. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you're gonna choose to educate somebody, have solid resources, be patient, but at some point you have to decide, is this going to be a conversation that's productive? And if it's not, and try to figure that out as early on as possible, just implement your boundaries. Cut it off. Stop there, because if you can identify that it's not going to be a good faith conversation, then just get away from it.
Get away from it. Set your boundaries like Vox Akuma had to do in
Oh, I see Catboy Fisky's in here. He said, I remember Boys Love community being so tolerant and loving and accepting. It makes me honestly sad that there's so many people being toxic and excluding nowadays. Why does that happen? It's just like a multitude of reasons, I would say.
Oh gosh, it's just it's a whole cultural thing, because it's not just happening in BL, it's happening in all types of media. Every media is now being put under the lens in question, because it's a hot thing to do on Twitter, to cancel someone and not cancel, because I don't want to bring up canceling in and of itself, because it does actually have a function when you do cancel like a person who's a freaking criminal, who is a known predator. Like this is important to maintain those spaces for that. But when you're doxing and harassing people,
small creators
who are also POC and are also LGBT,
disproportionately felt by POC people. Yes.
That is not as that's not as hype and cool and pie as you might think. Like there's people who are just doing that because of the clout. That's clout chasing, and that's ridiculous, and there should be no space for it in our community. And but before we go into like full on Q&A, I need to do one last plug. I am a host of the CrunchyRoll podcast. Season 2 premieres this summer. I do dive into these topics with my with my heterosexual co-host. And very one of which is I am constantly recommending BL to. But in case you wanted to check out a very recent BL drop on Crunchyroll, you should go ahead and check out The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, which is now available there. And a couple of my favorites that you should also check out are the Crunchyroll Award nominated Given and Zarazan Mai. And I would love to give an honorable mention to Cherry Magic. While not an anime, it is also on Crunchyroll, and it is a live action BL, and it's really so wholesome and cute. And sometimes you do need wholesome, when you're done reading it.
Wholesome's good too.
Yeah, wholesome is good as long as there's a balance, and you can have it all. There's choices.
You can have it all. That's the whole point.
Yes.
Variety in media.
Yes. All right, so 10 minutes. Let's go. Aeri, take it away.
Take it away. Filtering questions. We may get help from Mary. Mary, if you can spot questions at all, or if you've been finding any questions in here for us. Sorry, there's so many comments. I'm like, where are the questions? So throw
You
your
see,
questions in.
we should have booked 2 hours. You see?
We should have booked 2 hours. I don't even know. Was that an? I don't even know if that was an option.
It's probably not an option.
With Crystal,
They saw us and they said
to do a Twitch because then we can stream as long as we want.
no, I'm pretty sure. Thank you so much, FujoCon organizers. I know you saw our email and you went, "Oh no, not these two. Limit them, limit them. Give them a cap. It's 1 hour and a half, and they're done."
They were just like, "Oh God, these two go on for so long."
We had to split up that last one into 2 sessions, including a podcast.
I swear to God, it's your DR and it's my Mexican. Like that's what it is. We just talk.
Oh, thank you, Catboy. Fisky.
Fisky
So
also
yeah, there's a lot of questions. I definitely spotted one while they're being gathered. Wait, about the copter Panawat. A little bit more about the Teen Vogue interview. Oh yeah, so
oh yes.
Let me go ahead. Basically, he came out. Well, they came out. Sorry, they came out recently, and Teen Vogue just published the article, and they speak about the impact that they hope them coming out has on the BL industry in their country, because so far from their experience, and I kind of love that they share this in the article, there is now a market for BL, right? But not every country still has laws that reflect that, like laws that accept LGBT marriages, or laws that allow or incentivize LGBT communities to have a prominent role in society. So they noticed that they now have kind of like been able to jiggle the door open through BL, which is why supporting BL works is important. And if anything, now the hard work starts of trying to stay within that room once they've entered it, and to actually be able to invite more people from the LGBT community in there. So the room being the room where decisions get made, the room where the executives are, the room where the network executives are, the managers, the producers, the people who make these decisions, because they're looking at BL now as a commercial vehicle, right? It's a brand vehicle. And that's the power that we have as consumers, that we can, no matter what people might think about something, how they might judge us, we can put our wallet where our mouth is, and we get to support these works and allow these spaces to exist. Hopefully that allows people who work in these spaces, who have something to say and who have an important representation to give, to be allowed inside those rooms and be able to start making decisions. So the article speaks a little bit about that. I think I'm just going to share the link so that you can read it as well a little bit more.
Yeah, share that.
I don't know where to share it. I'm going to put it in the moderator chat in case y'all want to.
I do have a couple of other questions on here I am seeing. One of them I know was, when did you start seeing the hyper policing of ships in fandom? I saw it mostly around Voltron, but I know it predates that fandom. It does predate
Supernatural.
Supernatural. I was gonna say, so Supernatural, but the place where it sort of was birthed really started happening in Tumblr. Tumblr had loads of accounts by essentially people who were doing that crypto thing. They were being in there, putting in sneaky sort of information. Well, I have a scholar friend who tracked and documented all of the main turf accounts. So huge accounts that had one purpose of pushing turf rhetoric in sort of sneaky kinds of ways on Tumblr, in hopes that it would spread, and people didn't even know what they were consuming. So they're consuming it on Tumblr, thinking that they're consuming and digesting current popular media kind of content, not knowing its origin. And that started to hurt that area as well. But I know Tumblr was a big breeding ground for a lot of this to start just taking up a megaphone, blaring it into the nether. And yeah, Supernatural was a huge fandom where that started.
Oh yeah. I would even love to say that I didn't participate that much in Tumblr because I really didn't enjoy that environment. I didn't like seeing kind of like people, and it's the same thing that's happening now on Twitter, the kind of like danger clicking, like clicking on a tag that makes you uncomfortable just so that you can invade said tag with harassment of the people who engage in it. Like, I just thought that was so weird. So I thought I went to a healthier platform at the time, which was supposed to be Twitter, but here we are. Same thing now. It's everywhere.
I know
it
it really was there, and now you do see it a lot on Twitter. But I mean, so In terms of exactly where it started, that's very difficult. Voltron really took off, and I was there for the literal I was there from the moment it started. I know who, I know where, I know exactly how it started in that one fandom. But in terms of predating that, yeah, Supernatural is a big breeding ground. Tumblr was a big breeding ground in its
Yeah.
earlier days. And
Even
then it
Live
just really
Journal.
boomed. And LiveJournal did have some, yeah. I feel like Tumblr took it over
Gundam
because
Wing
that's their
in Live
position.
Journal. Yo, wait, I'm going way back now. Um,
Oh, go back, go back.
oh gosh, yeah, but you know what? It wasn't even like the ship war was all about Hiro Yui and Relina Darling versus Hiro Yui and Duo
Oh, yeah.
Maxwell, which was the
The
other
ship
pilot.
wars. Because, I mean,
Ship
ship
wars.
wars have always existed. It's just that they started taking on this sort of new face in the last, like, 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
or will have had a new face in the last 10 years. It started 10 years ago where it
Yeah.
started to, like, change.
Ooh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
answer these two questions at the same time. What is your favorite Danmei, and what is your favorite boy in Erha, and why is it Chuaning? So my
oh
favorite
my god.
Danmei is Erha, actually. Although it's supposed to have been adapted in Mortality, we're still waiting for it. The fandom that expects Immortality, we are slowly, decomposing, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm loyal, and I will wait for the arrival of Immortality and Erha into my screen, and I will always love it and cherish it. I'm so glad that the author has been officially licensed also by, well, actually, I don't think it's been announced what the official license is, but they're coming. The book is going to be published for Western audiences. I'm going to have an official English translation and all
That's
of
gonna
the
be so good.
everything. And who's my favorite boy in Ed High and why is it Chuaning? Actually, Chuaning is my favorite man, but my favorite boy, and I'm so sorry, not sorry, but my meow meow is still Tashanjin. it is. It
That was the
is.
wrong time to drink. My meow meow. There it is.
My meow meow is Moran. I have a lot of feels. I really like villains. Okay, guys, it's just my thing. But yeah,
That's
so
okay. I was just in a panel with Yowie, and they were Yowie Shelf, and they were telling me that one of them likes Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist, the one who turned his daughter into a chimera.
what? 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 You do not tell this to me, to an anime person.
Oh my
You know what?
god.
I will not kink shame, but damn.
I know. We were all like, when I realized, I had a moment because I was like, Tucker, Tucker. I was like, oh.
You know what? I judge you
I got
privately.
judgmental.
I will judge you privately. You do you and your daddy issues, but
I'm
I
sorry, I
judge you.
just dragged you. Corolla's laughing. Corolla's the other half. It was not Corolla.
Ah.
Sorry, I'm dragging you.
You know what? It's
I'm
fine.
gonna get canceled. I'm
It's
gonna cancel. It's gonna be a twit longer for me.
like whoever you like.
Oh my god. Like whoever you like. That's totally okay. I may
Live
judge you
and
a
let
little bit,
horny,
but
dude.
I'll lovingly judge you.
Lovingly.
Drag.
All right, so
We do have like 2 minutes left. Do we want to drop all of our contacts?
let me put it. My guys, if you want to,
I can't seem to drop mine because I don't have a chat box in here for the chat. So Mary, I don't know if you can drop my stuff for me because I don't seem to have that option.
oh, actually, by the way, for Wicca and the people talking about Tucker and
Yeah.
Endeavor, I actually made a video on Beyond the Bot about the best anime daddies. Endeavor is somehow in there. Please don't at me. Just if you want to check it out. That was an unhinged video, and it really was just about whether he's hot or not.
Oh my god.
Listen, yeah.
Sometimes we need the unhinged though. That's just what makes us us.
Yes. My contact
Thank
is
you,
just
Mary.
my name as you see it, Cristal Marie. Just that's my name everywhere. So youtube.com/Cristal Marie, twitter.com/Cristal Marie, Instagram Cristal Marie, Twitch, TikTok, you name it.
Everything Cristal
Marie.
I have always had my Querios account on Twitter for where I've done most of my BL Scholar stuff, but I have recently, in the last 3 months, become a VTuber. So all of my stuff now, my Twitch, my Twitter, my TikTok, they're all Peachy Gomu that you can see there from FujoCon. So that's where you'll find me. And then you're going to find me and Crystal. Everything on Twitch. This is going to be bad. We could go hours.
Endurance stream.
just,
yeah, the BL Report Endurance Challenge.
Oh my god.
There were so many other things that we definitely wanted to tackle with you guys. Hopefully we'll get the chance to do so again. But yeah, we're always down to talk about BL, and you can definitely reach out to us at those social media handles. And It's 7. It's right on the dot.
It's 7. That's it. That's the panel, folks. I signed up for the longest time possible, and we still don't have enough time. But we
Dude,
covered everything we wanted to, so
and we tried to keep it, like, just us, because if we had slides, this would have been 3 hours.
oh my god. Yeah.
I would have done an animation for
You would have done an animation.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Alright,
you need more
alright.
anime. That's what VTubing's for.
Yeah, that'll be followed up on our VTubing.
But thank you so much for FujoCon for giving us a place to talk about this, and thank you everyone who came here, and thank you for Cristal Marie for taking the time
Anytime.
to be here.
Thank you guys for attending, and I hope you guys got some interesting information from today, and I hope you check out the news and all the stuff that's happening. Definitely support 7 Unions workers. Definitely support more Danmei being published in the US and actors coming out.
Keep
Support that.
updated and stay safe out there.
Stay safe out there. Set your boundaries. Delete, report, delete.
Delete report. Enjoy your content.
All right, guys. See you on the Discord.
Bye, everyone.